I think this one will have to call it a breaking news. What we were made to believe and understand last week has completely changed this week with regards to Nathi Mthethwa falling out of the 22nd floor of the Hyatt Regency Hotel last week, Tuesday. It is reported, and that would be the 30th of September 2025. So, first of all, the cell phone was not found in the woods. I repeat, the cell phone was not found in the woods. This is being confirmed by the police and also Simon. Simon is the reporter who is on the ground doing all the reporting, I believe, for Newsroom Africa. I'm not sure if he's also doing it for the other news channels as well. So Simon says, as the saying says, the cell phone was returned to the family, and it's not just one cell phone. He's two cell phones. So in my opinion, a personal cell phone and a work-issued cell phone, both were found in the hotel. There is no reference to the woods. Nobody understands why. So right now, we can eliminate that he had gone to the woods to get a prostitute. Okay? It's being confirmed. There is no woods situation. Then it becomes weird why that was initially reported. But anyway, Sikolapo, let's continue on. What else is happening in this breaking news edition? We finally get to see the room, no, a similar room officially from the reporter. So you would say the CCTV footage. So I would say Simon Says again has been given access to a room on the 22nd floor. And also, we get to see the courtyard for the very, very, very first time where Nathi Mthethwa fell. Personally, I was hoping to see the tape, okay, you know, when they draw the tape of the person, in what position he landed in, where was his right hand, where was his left hand, is he facing down, is he facing up? I thought that's what we would also see in this report, but that's not what is being shared. Third thing, Kuningi guys, okay, third thing is that, oh, remember this clip here? Let me play it. This is Nathi Mthethwa performing a Zulu dance, and he looks celebratory, right? This was actually the Sunday the 29th. Sunday the 28th of September 2025. And this is at the South African War Memorial in France, where they had gone to honor the 109th anniversary of the World Wars. World War One and World War Two, where South Africans lost their lives, and some of them are buried at this war memorial. And while he was there, it is alleged that he said, "Oh no, nobody fetched the spirits of these war heroes that are buried here and returned their spirits back to their families," which is ironic that he has now passed away, and there's talks of his spirits being fetched and returned. So there has been nobody who has fetched the spirits. We'll talk about that in a separate video. But did that open up his mindset? Is that an indicator that there was something going on around him, being around death, I would say? Or this is something that he had been fighting back and being at a war memorial, so sort of grave sites, that opened those thoughts back up again. Maybe this is some mental issues that he had been dealing with. This is an open possibility. Makes more sense to me, to be honest, than the Madlanga Commission, and that he was mentioned by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. No offense to General Mkhwanazi, but this is Nathi Mthethwa. He's not new to controversy. So that was not groundbreaking. Oh my God, Nathi Mthethwa. But let's listen as well to what Simon says with regards to the courtyard, because I know I've seen the comments. Where's the CCTV footage? Although this is not the official CCTV footage of that day, it's better than nothing. At least we see this courtyard that they kept referring to, that never made sense why no one went to the courtyard until 11:30 that next morning. Let's watch here.
These are the first images gathered of the location where just 6 days ago, Ambassador Nathi Mthethwa's life would come to an end. The courtyard is still sealed by police. Even the hotel's staff are not permitted to go there. The hotel will, of course, serve as a central focus for the South African police investigation team. They will want to visit its 22nd floor and the room the ambassador booked and in which he spent his final hours. It will look exactly like this one. The ambassador's wife told Newsroom Africa that French police say the bed in the room was entirely untouched. Did not even look as though it had been sat on, she says. And it is agreed that the ambassador forced the narrow sliver of his window so that it opened fully, rather than being restricted by a window lock. He possibly used a pair of scissors found at the scene by French police. Those police have reviewed the hotel's CCTV footage and found no evidence that anyone followed the ambassador into the hotel, up to his room, nor was there anyone waiting for him upon his arrival.
Oh, and yes, I forgot to mention in this breaking news edition, the Saps, the 5 Saps members, the specialists, the Interpol, who are said to be going to have arrived in Paris to help with the investigation. Well, not help, but run their own parallel investigation of what happened to Nathi Mthethwa with the French police. Well, they haven't left South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. So not only did they need visas, but technically they also need work permits. So I guess you can do an emergency visa, visitor's visa if it's family members. But in this case, they need work permits. I'm also imagining they need to clear their equipment, their firearms, their duntonis. So there's a lot of paperwork involved. This, ladies and gentlemen, is shocking to me that is it the French that are not collaborating with SAPS going over? Why? Why? Why not? Why wouldn't they make this a smooth and easy process, understanding the timelines that are involved? This is a crime scene. The crime scene has to be, what is it called? Preserved. Now, guess what? It's a courtyard, right? Meaning it's open. Some parts of it are open. We just saw in the video. And thank you. Somebody left a comment in the comment section and told us, no, 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 guys. Right now, the reason why the ambassador wore a cap as well as a coat or a jacket is because the weather in Paris right now, okay, is not summer. So you need the cap to cover your head, otherwise he's gonna get cold. He would have got cold because he was bald-headed, right? And also the coat because the temperatures drop during the night. I'm not sure if she said during the night or throughout the day, but that explains that, which means the crime scene as well, okay, weather elements could alter the crime scene. Let the SAPS members go, France. So I'm not sure why the French are slowing that process down or dilly-dallying. I don't know, or what the stallation is, but we were made to understand they were leaving on Saturday. They never left, and they never told us that they never left. Isn't that ironic? Anyway, but let's continue back to Simon.
As to when the room was booked, the ambassador's brother-in-law, Dr. Sfiso Buthelezi, told Newsroom Africa last week that the reservation was first made on September the 15th, and that the ambassador planned a 2-night stay on September the 27th and 28th. The ambassador's name was only mentioned in testimony at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry on September the 19th, so when he first booked the room, if that September the 15th date is accurate, he would not have known that he was being accused of political interference in police activities when he served as Minister of Police in President Jacob Zuma's government. But we also know from Dr. Buthelezi that the ambassador changed his reservation at this hotel, reducing it from 2 nights to 1 night and pushing it back by 24 hours to September the 29th. What we don't know is when that change occurred and whether it took place before or after the ambassador's name came up at Madlanga.
We came to the conclusion, this is a non-issue, right? If we are called, let the commission be your guest, you can always go there and put your position. I was not worried about it. Ambassador Mthethwa had dealt with even more difficult things.
So in this next clip, this is Simon over there at the War Memorial in France for the South African soldiers who died during World War I and World War II. There was a ceremony that was held on the Sunday. That is the date that he changed his hotel booking to then check in on the Monday instead of having checked in on the Saturday. Hope that's not too confusing. And also, just to clarify and reiterate once again, the cell phone was not found in the woods, as previously indicated. So there is no, either the cell phone was stolen or that he had gone to the woods to meet with a prostitute. Okay? So let's listen to Simon tell us all about this war memorial, which I thought was pretty interesting. Here goes.
the South African War Memorial in the Bois Delville. I'm about 2 hours' drive north of Paris, and this was the location, quite literally, for the ambassador's last big set-piece event in his post. He came here on Sunday a week ago, so 8 days ago, to commemorate the 109th anniversary of the Battle of the Somme, that terrible 1916 battle that was so absolutely pivotal during the First World War, and in which South African soldiers fought, died, and were wounded. Over 1,000 South African soldiers from both world wars, the first and the second, are honoured at this memorial and in a war graves cemetery not far from where I'm standing, and 1,000 South Africans who were wounded during the two great wars. And so the ambassador was here with some veterans, with members of the South African community in France, and laid flowers at the memorial here in the Bois Delville. This entire area, this entire part of France, is surrounded by war graves cemeteries. Just down the road, there's one for soldiers from New Zealand who fought during the First World War. Throughout this area, as I drove here, you pass these war graves cemeteries on either side of the road, and they are incredibly moving. And it is being reported that the ambassador said to people who were present at this ceremony 8 days ago that he was distressed by the fact that some of the soldiers who were buried in that war graves cemetery, that their spirits had never been fetched and returned to their families. It's also reported that in the days leading up to his apparent decision to take his own life, he reported to family members that he had had a dream, his late father, telling him a message to come to him, to his late father. And family members here in France are certainly saying that all of that is very much in keeping with his own culture. As we know, family members are travelling to Paris to fetch the ambassador's spirit back from the Hyatt Regency Hotel there, where he fell to his death either 6 or 7 days ago. It's still unclear as to the precise timing of that. But I have to say, standing here and walking through those rows of markers that honour fallen soldiers from a number of different countries, including several South Africans, it is very easy to understand why the ambassador would have been deeply moved while he was here. His widow said to me a few days ago that he stayed longer here than they had planned, that he was so preoccupied by what was taking place here and enjoying the company of the South Africans and the veterans who were with him that day, that he stayed longer here. Now, the big question, of course, remains, why did Nathi Mthethwa take his own life? Pretty clear that that's where the French police investigation is going in terms of its conclusion.
I got the chance as well, I think in April, to go to a war museum, and I got to see South African soldiers that are in the museum, not like living soldiers, but the museum kind of setup of South Africa. There were all the other countries as well, Germany, everything. But when I got to the South African portion, it is very moving. It is very, very moving. I have to say that on my behalf. It was very, very moving. I'm going to look up the videos and I'll share them in a short maybe later, so look out for that. It's very moving because we're talking World War I, World War II. Think of those times, the quality of their uniforms. They were not protected. They were really, I don't want to say much. I'll share the clips with you. It's very, very moving. So I can only imagine if his spirits were troubled, how moved he was being at this memorial ceremony where there's thousands of soldiers, over 1,000 soldiers who are buried there, and their spirits were not fetched, especially as a Zulu man, maybe an extremely traditional man, a man who understands the tradition of fetching the spirits. Maybe this really, really overpowered him. I am not saying that is the reason why he is alleged to have taken his life, but I can understand when Simon says it is highly moving. It really is. I can confirm it. And I was in a museum. I was not in where there's like gravesites, because there were no gravesites. But I'm going to look up those videos. I think it was in April, and I will share it with you. Deeply moving. That's what I want to share. I'm going to end this video here. If there's any additional information, I'll be back with another video. Disappointed that Saps is not there. Disappointed. Highly disappointed. With that, I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to like, to comment, to share, so that everybody knows the cell phone wasn't found in the woods. Okay. Bye, guys.